Fallout Nuclear, and today I'm bringing to you a full health heavy build for Fallout 76. Let's get right into it. Let's start off with my mutations. Mutations for this build aren't all that important. The only one that I would recommend is Scaly Skin, because it increases your damage resistance and your energy resistance. Apart from that, everything else is just kind of quality of life and not that important. So mutations overall for this build aren't the biggest deal, so let's move on straight into the perks. For my perks, you want to have this amount of special points in everything. So I had a brain fart there, my bad. And for strength, you want to have all 3 heavy gunner perks to increase your damage by a flat 60%, very helpful. And traveling pharmacy and strong back aren't important, so you don't need them. I just have them because weight reduction is great and I like it. So if you don't want these, you don't have to have them. Onto perception. You don't need much perception in this build. I've only got 2 in there, and all I've got is just refractor perk. Not the most important perk in the world. All it does is just I gain 20 energy resistance, which is not much at all, but you know, it's something. I may as well put it there. For endurance, it's a little bit more important. I have the perk Fireproof. It means I take 45% less damage from explosions and flame attacks. It's quite great actually, and you should probably use it, because even though it's 45, it feels like you're immune to like explosions and fire damage altogether, which is weird. Life Giver, which just flat out gives me a 45 extra health, which is always nice. For Charisma, have Inspirational, it's just XP bonus. Not that important, but you know, XP is helpful. And this is the first mutation perk in the build. Now, if you don't have any mutations, you don't need this perk, but for me, I have mutations, so I want to use this. It just means that when I'm in a team, I get 25% better mutations whilst in a team with other people that have mutations. Tenderizer, it just means the target I'm shooting takes 10% more damage, just easy like that. For intelligence, you want to have this maxed. I have the perk batteries included. That just means my energy ammo weighs 90% less, which is pretty helpful since you would carry around a lot for this build. Power user, which just means my fusion cores are doubled, which means because you're in power armor, right? So you don't want to be burning through your cores too fast. So having this means they last twice as long, and you don't have to worry about that as much. Stabilized, this is probably one of the most important perks for this build. It means you ignore 45% of your enemy's armor, and you have excellent accuracy with heavy guns whilst in power armor. 45% of their armor gone is big, and I really advise you put this perk in. It's so good and means you do so much more damage to enemies. I have level 5 Demolition Expert, because the Gauss minigun and all Gauss weapons already have the explosive legendary effect on them, though it's not as good. It's just kind of a passive little thing, so it does have explosive damage. So having this perk in here increases its damage a little bit. Not overly important, you don't need the whole 5 stars, but I have it in for extra damage. I have this level 1 first aid because I had a spare intelligence point. It just means my stim packs heal for 15% more. For agility, not all too important. I just have Action Girl. This means I replenish action points 30% faster. And I have Adrenaline. This perk's actually quite helpful. When you kill an enemy, you get 10% more damage for a short duration, stacking up to 60%, which means you can get 60% bonus damage when you're fighting a lot of enemies. It's quite helpful. And for luck, I have Bloody Mess. It's just a flat out 15% bonus damage. No, nothing too complex, pretty helpful. Class Freak, yet another mutation perk. If you have mutations, this is one of the best perks of mutations. This is almost needed because it nullifies the bad effects of them, and it's really helpful. And starch genes, the last mutation perk. If you have a mutation, you need starch genes. If you need starch genes, you never want to take it off because you don't want to lose your good mutations. So if you ever have mutations, I'll give you this now. Immediately put on starch genes. And lastly, ricochet. It just means there's an 18% chance a bullet will bounce straight off me and hit someone else, like another enemy. It's pretty helpful because it means you take a lot less damage. And honestly, it feels like more than 18%. Like, it feels like this perk's going off all the time, bouncing bullets off me and deflecting them, meaning I don't take any damage. So that's my perk build. It's not perfect, so if you don't like something about it or you want to change something, you're welcome to, since this is not a perfect build. This is just what I use. So if you don't like something, you can chop and change, you can swap things up a bit if you like, you can do whatever you like. Let's go on to the weapon. The weapon I'll be using for this build is the Juggernaut's Gauss minigun. It's a Gauss minigun with the Juggernaut's effect on it. The Juggernaut effect means I do more damage the higher my health is, and it stacks up to 25%. So with this build, you always want to have full health. Now, keep in mind, this build works with any heavy weapon, like anything, that's as long as it's a heavy weapon. You might need to change a few perks here and there, but vaguely, this build will work with any heavy weapon at all. For my armor, I'm using a full set of T65 power armor. Now, I haven't perfected the legendary effects on all of these since I'm lazy. But to be honest, power armor legendary effects aren't the most important thing in the world. So if you don't want to, you don't have to. Honestly, I don't even know what are the optimized legendary effects to have. Just as long as you have a full set of power armor, and ideally a full set of T65 power armor, you'll be good to go. The way you get T65 power armor is finishing the Wastelanders DLC quest line, and I won't say what happens there for spoilers, but once you finish it, there's a way you can get this. I'm not going to explain how, but I might make another video on that another time. And that's it, that's the build. Let's go test it out. We're here at West Tech Research Center. We're going to test out my build on some super mutants. Ooh, we have a 3-star legendary. Now these super mutants are barely tickling me. This power armor is super overpowered. Also, I'm not using VATS for this build. You can use VATS if you like. It's probably better, honestly, but I prefer with my heavy builds just to go nuts and just absolutely obliterate enemies without VATS. As you saw, I just melted through the enemies, but I'm not going to be doing as much damage as I would otherwise with a bloodied build, because with full health builds, you're mainly sacrificing damage for protection and survivability. So that's why it seems like to some people I'm killing them a little bit slow. That's purely because I am using a full health build and not a bloodied build. I will probably make some videos on bloody builds in the future, but for now, this is a full health build. I think you kind of get the idea now. So that's it. That's the full health heavy gun build. Um, just remember you can use any power armor and any heavy weapon. Preferably T65 power armor, but you can use any heavy weapon you like with this build with any legendary effects. I would advise either anti-armor legendary effects or juggernaut legendary effect, because they are very helpful for this and they make you do a lot of damage. But that's it. That's the full build. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.